Hi, everyone. I'm Katina McHenry. You are joining us today on our May Q&A with Lil. We are coming to the end of the semester, and it feels like it's flown by. Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome, Lil, to the May Q&A. It's always great to see you. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, Katina. It's been such a successful year, and we're coming up on graduation, so it's a good season.
Yes, and I know there are a lot of people who are glad to finally get to this point. Mm-hmm. So today we're going to be talking about several different topics. One, our fall reopening plans, what that's going to look like, what faculty and students and staff can expect from a remote working reopening standpoint. We will also get an update on our new buildings, what that's looking like, and then we will talk about upcoming commencement graduation moments and our plans around that. So let's begin with our fall reopening plans. We are planning to reopen at UT. So talk a little bit about what that's going to look like and what we'll be doing over the next couple of months to prepare for that, Lil.
Well, we're planning for a full reopening. And one of the guiding assumptions here is that by July 1st, everyone who wants a vaccine will be fully vaccinated, and that'll make it safe for us to return in person. And one of our guiding principles as we think about density on campus and staff and faculty and students is that we are a first-class residential university primarily. So 95% of our undergraduate classes are scheduled to be in person at normal density, and our master's and PhD and MBA classes have been meeting mostly in person this year already. So plan to be on campus in your classroom with your professor.
All right, well, now let's talk about what faculty, students, and staff can expect just from a modality standpoint. I know there's communication that's coming out and students will be alerted to further defining what those modalities mean. So let's talk about that from a faculty, student, and staff standpoint.
So there's a fair amount of confusion as we approach the fall. As a student, you should assume that you should be in class. The professor has the option to host some of the classes during the semester remotely, but that's a professor's choice, not a student's choice. So if you were this year waking up at 9:27 and opening your laptop for a 9:30 Zoom class, that is not our norm coming back this fall. We want to be with each other, but recognize that occasionally the professor, for pedagogic reasons, might choose a particular class day to be fully remote. For example, if there were a remote guest speaker or a need for random breakout groups or something. But come to class, see your classmates. Your professors are eager to see you again.
Yeah, so no more rolling over and and hopping into class. You have to be there in person.
Be in person, yes. And we are still working out what staff should expect in terms of returning to campus. But as Caitlin Mullaney, our COO, said last week in a town hall, our guiding principle is that we're a residential university, so the students are here, which means the faculty will be here, and our staff are part of the bigger McCombs family that supports this residential experience, and we need to rebuild that community. And so I would be assuming that, like the students and faculty, this is a primarily residential experience with appropriate consideration of the benefits of occasional working from home, but plan to be here.
And, you know, there's a lot to be said for just what we've missed from a human connection standpoint and how important that is for how we interact with each other, for building relationships and building that great interaction between faculty and student and staff, student, et cetera. All of those interactions are so very important that we've missed.
They are. And once we're together, we can figure out how to be flexible, but let's first get back in community with each other.
Sure. Let's talk now about what we have from an update standpoint on our buildings and new buildings. I know there have been a lot of planning going in place, and a lot of fundraising for some new spaces. So talk about where we are with that.
Gosh, Katina, I feel like every month I am reselling the same cliffhanger. I don't have specifics. I can say again, the fundraising is going great. We've raised 101 million of the 135 that the university asked us to raise. The project cost could be as much as 3 times that, but we have President Hartzell's full attention. He and the UT facilities people, and I appreciate Senior Associate Dean Eric Hurst, who's been involved in this from the beginning, are looking carefully at the next steps. And so I'm going to leave you with a cliffhanger again this month that I hope we'll have more information in June.
Well, that gives us something to look forward to. Before we move ahead, I want to jump back just a few steps in regards to vaccination. So our vaccination facility is still up and running at Gregory Gym. It will at some point move away from Gregory, but walk-up appointments will still be available. So if you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, you still are able to do that and make an appointment, and it's free, and the walk-up appointments are also free as well. And those are being offered every weekday, 2 parts of the day. So make sure you follow social media for any updates there.
Yeah, and I'll just say again, I feel so relieved to be vaccinated. I'm getting on a plane to New York City this week to go see some of our friends of McCombs up in New York. And it's just a pleasure to feel comfortable on airplanes and comfortable to go visit some grandchildren and keep them safe as well.
Yes, that's awesome. Tell my son hello in New York. So we are now at the end of the semester. We're coming close to commencement ceremonies and celebrating major accomplishments that our students are experiencing. And so let's talk about commencement this year. Obviously, it'll look different than it has in previous years, and we're trying to do a few more in-person events surrounding commencement. So talk about what that looks like for how we're planning to recognize accomplishments.
Yes, because it's just such an accomplishment, those of you that are graduating from any program right now. So we'll have one big, everyone that wants to come, outdoor safe ceremony at the DKR Stadium, Saturday night, May 22nd. I will be there. I look forward to seeing you on the field and your family in the stands. We are not doing program level, college level group commencement activities. I know that's a disappointment, but what we're trying to do is provide a personal touch where you and a couple of family members could get some photo opportunities with the program lead that you feel closest to, as well as either the Interim Dean Lil Mills or the Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Eric Hurst. And essentially, we deans will spend Thursday, Friday, and Saturday being available for magic moments. And we'll cue you through in a way that it remains safe, but I expect you'll get a chance to visit in small groups with your classmates, and it'll be a pleasure to congratulate you personally.
Absolutely. Well, as we end this May Q&A and as we prepare to celebrate graduates, I'd love for you to send a send-off message to our class of 2021. Obviously, it's been a long year. It's been a long semester. There's been a lot of struggle that we've had to endure and really build on resilience and flexibility and all of those things that are such important skills in life. So I'd love for you to give them a wonderful send-off message.
So thanks, Katina. I have an academic mentor who grew up on a farm in India. And this week in particular, I'm thinking of him because India is having a very difficult time this week. And we've got faculty and student friends with family in India. And it's just the COVID-19 spread is really worrisome there. Yeah. So I'm thinking of this mentor, and he said when he grew up on his farm, family farming area, that the happiest time of year was the harvest, because the whole work of plowing and sowing and reaping and tending was over, and the whole village had a huge party. And for we faculty and staff members who are here at UT Austin at the McCombs School of Business, the students, you are our harvest. And so commencement, as you launch out into the world, it's our harvest celebration, because we are so proud of how hard you've worked, how much we've enjoyed partnering with you for your education. And I congratulate you on that success.
Thank you, Lil. Well, thank you for joining us today on the May Q&A. We appreciate your being with us. And as we end, again, congratulations to all the graduates, and we will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of the semester and enjoy your summer.
Welcome
we'll see you
home.
next time.
Thanks.